We're going to talk about sex in your romance factor section of the book. A lot of, you say at the beginning of your book that God is the main priority in a person's life, or it should be the first priority in a person's life. But we also know that many people, Christians included, are having premarital sex. And is that right? Do you consider it to be a wrong thing? Do you consider it to be okay? How do you feel about that?
I'm going to answer this based on my belief. I've been celibate for almost 7 years, and I don't plan on engaging sexually until I'm married. I believe that my blessings are going to come tremendously, and that's my belief, and that's what I want to happen. Of course, there are people who, engage in premarital sex, and I'm not saying that if a person does that, you should say, well, oh, you're going to hell or something. We all sin. We do things that maybe not involve, sexually. We commit other sins, and I'm not really going to condone a person who does that. But I believe, and I will say that again, that for me to reap the blessings that God wants to bless me with, when I put him first in my life, I want to be able to share that special part of me with a woman who is my wife.
I'm sorry.
That way she appreciates me more. It's more loving, it's more caring, because you've saved something special for that person. You didn't give it to somebody, you saved that special for that person. So that's my belief.
So you don't believe it's necessary to test the waters before you take the ride?
I don't think you have to. But if you've done it, it's done. You can't.
But what happens if you don't do it and you get into a marriage with this person and the sexual feelings just don't come? You're not interested in the sex.
That happens, and that's a really big issue, because a lot of people are like, okay, how do I know that he's going to be sexually satisfying in bed? How do I know that? Okay, and if you trust that person, okay, you can believe that, okay, it's going to be that way. When a man is a server, when he's a true server, you know that when it comes to bedtime, he's going to serve you. That's one of the clues you can pick up.
Okay. So premarital sex. I'm going to ask you a very personal question, if that's all right with you.
Sure, go right ahead.
Did you engage in premarital sex?
I did. I did it, and it was fun. I had a great time. I really wanted to experiment. I thought that would be like feeling really loved and really connecting with my significant other, and I did that, and it was enjoyable. I had a great time. If I had to do it all over again, I would not want to go down the path, because I was not happy with what happened to me during the time frame. Getting married afterwards, and raising my kids. And based on my belief growing up as a kid, I was taught that you don't engage in it. So that really had a significant impact on me, because the guilt came in, and I had to deal with that. And every time I had sex, I thought about back then when I did it before I was married, and that took away from the feeling. It took away from the sentiment. It took away from the way sex should really play out, because sex is very enjoyable, and when we're able to just get everything out of the way and enjoy sex, that's sex to the fullest. And now that I've been celibate for the last 7 years, I would not want to have to go down that road. I just want to save it for the woman who is my wife, so I can give her all. So I won't have to have that guilt complex. I want to know, okay, I've saved this for you. This is all yours.
So, John, what do you say for those in our audience who are engaging in premarital sex, who have had relationships outside of marriage that have lasted 10, 20 years, who have no belief in God, but still have great relationships? How do you tell them, what is it that you tell them?
I can only talk about what I believe, and I believe that sex should come after marriage. There are people who are involved in it, and they've got to know, is this the vision for my relationship? Especially if they have kids. Do I want my kids to adopt this lifestyle of being engaged in premarital sex? Is this the person I want to stay with for the rest of my life? And if it's the person they want to stay with for the rest of their life, do I really want to marry her or do I don't want to marry her? And if I don't want to marry her, am I going to keep her forever? Or am I just taking up somebody else's possession? And then am I going to pass her on to somebody else down the road? That's very, very important. And they've got to look at this and decide, well, is this the kind of lifestyle I want to live? How can, if I need to change, how can I get out of it? And I believe that if you have something and you believe it, you love it, you treasure it, you value it, you should do the right things to keep it. And we live in a society where marriage is looked upon as something that ties a family together. Mm-hmm. That's my belief. And if a person feels that they want to tie it together, I believe that it should tie it together. There are people, however, there are people who don't want to tie it together, and they have a prerogative. I couldn't talk about my belief. That's all I can talk about.
Okay.